Travis Wayne Goodsell. The Constitution establishes 3 areas of law for our rights and privileges, and thus the violation of which constitute crime. They are life, liberty, and property, referring to possessions, not just land ownership. And and so if anybody asked you to commit a crime for them upon another individual, that makes you complicit in the crime. They have solicited you to commit a crime. And this should be an easy concept to recognize, and was the intention that we'd have a civilized society, that people would abide by the law and not violate other people's rights, and thus not commit crime. But our justice system was supposed to be designed to settle matters where people commit crime. Unfortunately, that is not the case in the United States of America, as corruption has crept in and screwed things up so that we're not adhering to the Constitution. People's rights are getting violated. I saw on the news the other day, maybe last week, a black man in the South was released from prison because he was found to be innocent after 37 years. It is far too late to receive justice for him. The damage that was done to him, I don't think can ever be repaid. There's no dollar figure that can make up for it. I hope they do well compensate him, though, nonetheless. But, yeah, if you've not followed me, you're missing out on how the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are not good people. They're not the true church, and they demonstrate it by their fruits. Because if they were true prophets of Jesus, they wouldn't seek to destroy other people's lives, even if those other people are criticizing them online, going around telling people lies about the church, because the church, not committing any crime or wrongdoing, would be able to show by their fruits, and people would be able to recognize them by their fruits and not believe the lies. Unfortunately, church is criminal. And the SEC is the latest to expose the church as being criminal. And so, in my life, there have been Mormons who have been threatened or ordered by the church. And it's usually an order, and if the person is not inclined to commit crime, then it becomes a threat, because they're not willing to do this. They're now forced to do this at the expense of getting fired from their job or being punished in the same manner that they are seeking to have me punished. And what crime have I committed against the church? None. I was Mormon, born and raised. I believed the lies that the church was telling me. And I believed Joseph Smith was our founder, and that he was a translator. And so I pursued translation, because nobody was giving me any answers. And so I wanted to find out. We were told to study, so I wanted to find out. And so I was obedient, and I studied, and I got my answers, and I found out Joseph Smith is a legitimate translator, despite other people saying no. And so I then thought, oh, I get to defend Joseph Smith by informing people of how Joseph Smith is correct and uses scientifically, not by just my spiritual witness feeling. I can actually physically demonstrate how Joseph Smith is a legitimate translator of both Paleo-Hebrew from the King Follett Discourse and Egyptian from the papyri of that he called it the Book of Abraham. And so I go to the church. This is awesome. Is there anything else that I can work on? Anything else that Joseph Smith was working on? And instead, under Hinckley, F. Michael Watson tried to have me excommunicated. I was interrogated by my full stake presidency with bishopric, cramped into the little stake room in the younger... Yeah, it was the younger singles ward. No. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, it would have been the younger singles ward. Still. Because 30, once you turn 30, you gotta, or 31, you gotta go to the older singles ward. So it was before 30. And I'm, yeah, because the bishop, that's right. Mr. listing off at the pulpit of fast and testimony meeting to keep others from getting up and bearing their testimony, a whole list of different names for masturbation. I didn't know any of them. But I learned that ZZ Top's song is one of them. That's in the theme song below. If I remember. Oh, I can. It's the one here. I'm still trying to get through these papers, but they keep increasing faster than I can get rid of them. And so if you don't know, you'll find out in the description below. And so, F. Michael Watson, in this particular case, acting as if he were the president, told them to interrogate and see if I needed to be excommunicated for showing that Joseph Smith is legitimate. Because he threw at me the BYU translators who rambled off the traditional translation, and thus Joseph Smith is wrong. What? You have BYU professors in translation who are spreading the word that Joseph Smith is not a translator? And that's the official position of the church? Yeah, that's what I've come to learn. However, Hinckley, when the issue was forced, and the stake president was going to go see him personally, was told to back off. So once Hinckley found out about me, he let me go. And he was involved in a couple other instances that involved me that showed up on his desk. The second one after, because it was later that year in 1998. So it was January 2nd, 1998 is the Paleo-Hebrew script translation, that decipherment that I gave to the church, that F. Michael Watson tried to have me excommunicated for. And so later that year, it had been a full year in that summertime. Well, it was after April, when Stephanie abandoned the marriage, fled the country, and kidnapped the kids. But that's not a crime in the United States for some reason. But she gets a divorce up in Canada without me. Oh? Wow. Okay. because she claimed that we'd been separated for a year and I'm in America, and so got it for that reason. Canada allows it. So I got screwed with the Office of Recovery Services here in Utah, who acknowledged the violation of my rights in foreign countries, not protecting their own. But nonetheless, she got a sealing cancellation as well. And a year later, in 99. And so I got a letter from her bishop asking me to submit my feelings. As a scientist, if you've been watching my channel, you know how I feel about feelings. And so I did. I feel sad when she was abusing me. I felt sad when she took the kids away. I felt sad when she fled the country. I felt sad when she... I mean, dear God, my feelings. Don't you want the truth? The facts? And so, yes, her sealing cancellation was immediately granted. And if you knew back then that sealing cancellations in the church are hard to obtain for just frivolous divorces, it has to be a serious situation for the president of the church to say, yeah, we need to cancel that sealing. Because they are full involved with polygamous marriages, despite the claim that they're not. Because a man can be sealed to multiple wives, and if they get divorced, they're still sealed. And as long as he continues to get permission of the previous wives, he can get married again, sealed in the temple, to yet another polygamous wife. Yeah. Oh, we don't practice polygamy. Yeah, that's a crime. Church is involved in crime. But, and then Hinckley left me alone, and not just left me alone, but he actually approved when I was asked to be a part of the revised footnotes with the Guide to the Scriptures. And so I've talked to you about my involvement with that in my videos as well. That was Hinckley who gave me the golden ticket from Jesus, as the supervisor believed. Comes from the highest source. And so Hinckley left me alone because I was helping the church. And it wasn't until he died that Monson, however, had a different opinion about the matter. His feelings were different. And the pressures were starting to hit harder on me. And so I was forced to defend myself, and I had no clue how, to file a petition for a redress of grievances, you know, the First Amendment, to protect my life, liberty, and property with the state of Utah. Well, that had Monson and all the others, prophets, seers, revelators, which includes Nelson, to agree to the payment to those who assisted in having me indefinitely incarcerated, which ended up being 6 years of my life. I was miraculously freed because of 3 retirements that were kind of sudden. And they ordered my indefinite incarceration for the purpose of murder. And so I've shown you the picture of me in the hospital bed. What was done to me was to murder me. And so I got out And I got put into the other apartment that you used to see me in. Not the shelter. Before the shelter. But yeah. Again, Monson came after me. And despite his talk about being kind, he was never kind to me. And so, yeah, when you know that the church isn't true, you know that what they say is a lie. But when Mormons don't bother to study and confirm through science, through the fruits, that the church is true or false, they get deceived. They get led astray. And they end up committing horrible crimes and atrocities through ignorance. But then there's the church who gives orders as well. And so the church gave orders to, again, destroy my marriage, the second marriage, and come after me directly to assassinate me through my landlord and the property manager. The property manager was bold enough to even sign a confession that that's what she was doing and that she was going to do it again the very next year, which they did. And that's how I got put into the shelter. They carried through with their threat. And not a single government officer, police officer, did their job to serve and protect me. Everybody is compromised in Utah when the church gives the orders. And like I said, you're either instantly complicit because you believe that the church is always true, regardless of what they ask you to do, even if it's a crime, because it's not a crime because the church is true and Jesus is the one who wants it done. And so they excuse crime because they ignorantly believe the church is true, because they didn't bother to do their study with science. Or they're caught unawares and they're told to do something that they don't have an inclination to do. They're not inclined to commit crime against other people. They're good Mormons. And now they're being asked to commit a crime against a person, and they don't understand why. Some people quit, and some people got fired because they aren't experienced on how to commit crimes, and they fail to punish me. So, yes, in the shelter as well. The higher-ups were more complicit. The case manager and the liaison and some of the employees were not as inclined. And firings proceeded. Very sad. But the church keeps going because I am not silenced and dead yet. They keep doing the same exact pattern over and over again. They give the order to different people, but it's the same order. Silence and murder Travis. And so YouTube, the church gave the order. Silence Travis. And they do what they can, because there are those who aren't Mormon and aren't beholden to the church. So they've got to figure out how to work around it to screw me over. But my brother was also brought in this new move, this new apartment, as he attacked me on my birthday. Because he is one of the innocent ones that are not inclined to commit crime, but he also is willing to believe that the church is true and will do whatever they ask, and has no problem committing a crime and lying so that the church gets what they ask for. And that's why I noticed when the lawyer had sent me the email asking me to respond, she informed me that my brother was suffering from economic and employment loss, which immediately told me the church had threatened his job. Because otherwise he has no threat to his employment or money. It's the church who he's employed with. And so the church, from the lawyer, made it very clear, even though it wasn't specific, that the church came to my brother and told him to commit a crime against me, to silence me and commit a crime, whether my life, my liberty, or my property, by going through a lawyer. Because he went through YouTube first. Didn't come to me, went through YouTube. I found out from YouTube that he was attacking. I then presented YouTube with the law on the matter, and they backed off. Told Todd, sorry, can't do it. Law's on his side, my side. And yet my brother can't let that stand because the lawyer said the church threatened him. And so he found my email. I guess he always had it. He claims he didn't. But he sent me an email saying the same thing. And so I didn't respond because I knew YouTube already told him he did not have a claim. But because I'm a good guy, I did the video. And in the video, I went to his LinkedIn profile and found out that, yeah, I was incorrect. He does have a different type of role for the church in his employment. And that turned out to be a bombshell. Beyond the bombshell that I had done the original video with. And so, but I still made a correction. Weeks go by, no response. I figure the matter's closed. It's resolved. And then I get the email from his lawyer the night before my birthday with the same complaints that he gave YouTube, that he sent to me, and then to the lawyer. He doesn't care that he's wrong because the church has threatened his employment. And I've seen this pattern before. People must do what they are ordered, or they are fired or punished, like me. It's been since 2008. Same exact pattern. It's 15 years now, isn't it? Church has tried over and over and over again to silence me, to murder me, to erase me from history. How about you? Has the church or a representative of the church approached you and asked you to commit a crime against somebody else or me? Or are you so indoctrinated into the church that when someone like me does this kind of video, you automatically don't believe me and are already inclined to commit crimes against me?